It's about 6 a.m. Headed out on my first solo trip ever. Headed to the Smoky Mountains right now, down in Tennessee. Then I'll be headed to Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, and then after that I'm going to New River Gorge in West Virginia, and then I'll be coming back home to Ohio. So got about a 9-hour drive ahead of me. Hopefully it'll be a little bit quicker. Hopefully it won't be raining there. It's 25 degrees here now in Ohio. It's March 13th, so that's good. But I'd rather it be cold and not rainy when I get there. So showing 50s, 60s. Hopefully no rain, but embrace the suck. So I'll see you guys in 9 hours. So I made it finally in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park for the first time ever. Hiked about 0.1 miles in, headed to Rainbow Falls, just doing a day hike before my overnight backpacking trip tomorrow. I have a feeling it's gonna be great. Hasn't started raining, looks like it might soon, but I don't even care. This is better than being in an office or doing something I wouldn't want to do. So look at this. I got to the Smoky Mountains pretty late, so started about 3:45. Gone 1.25 miles in about 28 minutes. Sun's coming out though. View's getting pretty nice up here. Smoky Mountains is right. You'll be able to see a lot further, but the haze is really cool. So I just passed a lady. Asked her if the waterfall was flowing pretty well. She said she didn't make it. A little bit later up the mountain, asked another group, hey, how's the waterfall flowing? Pretty nice. Said they didn't make it, so that's comforting. I'm the only one coming up. Everyone else is going down, other than the dad and 2 sons that I passed earlier. But I am trying to book it. I'm about halfway there in 30 minutes, but it's 2.6 miles, almost 2,000 feet of elevation up. And then I got to turn around and come down. But coming down will be a lot quicker. You can see where the people are down there and kind of where the trail loops. Whew. Man, steep. But I have a headlamp and a flashlight in case it gets dark. But I have high hopes that I'll make it back by dusk. One of my favorite parts about being out on the trail is almost all the time people are super friendly. Almost everyone I pass has said something motivational like, keep it up, you can do it, you're almost there, make it to the waterfall, it's worth it, don't give up. And it's just awesome being out here alone. It kind of makes me feel like there's people with me in a different sense. I do wish, you know, my dad and a couple of my best friends were with me hiking like they always do, but it is nice to feel like there's a little community out on the trail. But onward. I should be getting to the waterfall any second. I did surpass one group on the way up. Other than that, I'm the only one going up. Tons of people coming down. It's crazy. I feel like I'm in like a Lord of the Rings movie or something. Last Kingdom type stuff. It is so hazy out here. You can barely see around the corner. You can hear the water flowing around you. Can't see more than 50 feet in the sky, but it's amazing. I've never been in an environment like this. So I made it to Rainbow Falls. It's so hazy out here, you can barely see it. Gotta make it a quick visit though, because it's getting pretty dark out and I gotta hoof it down the mountain here. Took me about an hour and 20 minutes to do 1,700 feet of elevation, 3 miles. I'm not in great shape, but damn, did I do good. So it's crazy. I was up at the waterfall and it seemed like it was getting dark, like the sun had already set. And then you come down the mountain and it's pretty clear still. The view is pretty nice right here. This one's for my dad because he loves hiking along water. And most of this trail, probably the first half, you're right along the river, which is flowing from Rainbow Falls, and it's absolutely beautiful. I have to agree with my dad when one of my favorite parts of being on the trail is hiking right along the water. That sound never gets old. Made it back down to the trailhead. Wish I could have done Mount LeConte, but 6.6 miles ain't gonna happen, and that's just one way. That would mean over 13 miles round trip. No thank you. I did about 5.8 in under 2.5 hours. All I gotta do now is walk back to the car and get prepped for my overnight backpacking trip tomorrow. This is a good hike, but I don't recommend starting it any later than the early afternoon. Always bring water and a raincoat. Just a little bag with some, like, you know, a headlamp, stuff like that. But you never know what could happen. Always be prepared. Raincoat, water, lights, snacks. That's it. So I'm starting my overnight backpacking trip. First time ever going solo. Right now I'm at Newfound Gap, which is right on the border of Tennessee and North Carolina. So I'm right on the borderline of both states. Headed off onto the AT, planning on staying at Mount Collins Shelter, which is about 5 miles from here. Looking pretty good views so far. Hopefully I'll be able to make it up to Clingman's Dome. We shall see. I'm about 2 miles in, almost 1,000 feet of elevation. Haven't videoed too much yet. For the first day, I've been talking to a few different groups of people actually, which has been nice. Met a group down at the parking lot that also will be camping at Mount Collins tonight, so I'll probably see them there. Ran into an older couple. Didn't catch their names, but they have a place here. They're actually from Alabama, but they've been coming here for years and they love it. They're just kind of telling me some cool history about the park. And then I ran into a couple of younger guys, probably around my age, down at just a stopping point. It's crazy. One guy said he lives in Tennessee now, but was born in Cuyahoga Falls. For those of you who don't know, I live in Cuyahoga Falls, but I was born in Tennessee. So it was like vice versa. It is just kind of crazy. Here on the trees and all along the ground is just moss, and it's just got an ancient forest vibe to it. I don't know what that means. I just know it's an older forest, and you can just tell it has seen so much in its lifetime. It's really surreal being here, having always heard about them my whole life. It has not disappointed so far. 3.5 miles in, been pretty good climb up. Almost 2 hours, about an hour 42 minutes. And this is the only water source I've passed. Looks refreshing, but I still have like 1.5 liters, so onward. Hopefully there'll be another one. Hopefully there'll be one at camp, but we shall see. Clingman's Dome is 3.4 miles further. Mount Collins Shelter is about a 1/2 mile down this way. So I'm hoping to go 1/2 mile down, set up camp, and then depending on my time, hike back up just with my day pack that way to Clingman's Dome. I'm off to Clingman's Dome, packed up my day bag, and I don't know if you can see it through the trees. That black object hanging right there is my bag. They have a really neat cable system out here so you can hoist your bags up in the tree. But on to Clingman's Dome. Hopefully I'm going to summit it. It's like 10 after 1, so we'll see how good of time I can make. I feel so much better with the pack off my back though, so it should be much easier. Oh, I think I have just under a mile till I get to Clingman's Dome. I know I'm not going to be able to see anything when I get up there. It is so smoky out here. But might as well conquer the mountain. Say I conquered the highest peak in the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, so I finally made it to Clingman's Dome. There is a road that actually comes up to this point. It's closed though, like December through April, because of just snow seasonal closures. But it's so much more worth it hiking up to it, even though you can't see a thing. And doing it this time of year, no one else is up here. I literally am on the highest point in the Smoky Mountains by myself. And they have this huge tower up here, which is where I'm headed right now. I made it to the top. This is what the view is supposed to be like. This is reality. This is what this view is supposed to be like. And that. And the northern view, should be able to see Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. Yeah. And you can see about 50 feet in front of you. And last but not least, the western view looks epic. Here's what I got for lunch. Double wrap tortilla, about 30 pepperonis and 3 cheese sticks. Doesn't sound appetizing, but all I've had today is a blueberry muffin, some peanut M&Ms, and a granola bar. And I'm now at almost 9 miles, going on 5 hours, 3,000 feet of elevation gain. So you'll eat anything when you're hungry. My butt is whooped. This might have been one of the most challenging hikes I've ever done. Just the lack of water. I've had one water source, and it's at the end of the entire hike, and it's about 0.1 miles down the hill from my campsite. So I have to hike back up a hill. This is my water source. It says boil before drinking on a sign too. I don't have a stove, so I'm just gonna have to filter it and hope I don't get some illness. But man, the AT is no joke. Respect to anyone who thru hikes this. I'm getting some water. All right, so I'm back to camp. Wanted to show anyone who's never been to the Great Smoky Mountains how to use their bear cable system. So right here, you're gonna unhook this and you're gonna pull this lower part here. They have some nice handles. You're gonna lower it down where there's a latch. On my pack here, I just put a trash bag over it to protect it from any rain or critters. I put a carabiner here to attach it to the latch. And so when that drops down, you latch it onto the pack. Once it's hooked, you'll then pull this to raise it up, and then you'll latch this back onto the hook and just leave it suspended there. Any food or items that have a scent, just to prevent any bears or, you know, rodents or animals from getting any of your food. Made it to camp tonight. Staying at an AT shelter. 3 thru hikers here. Only got one of their trail names, 2 Tents, because last year he carried 2 tents, so that's kind of cool. And then there's a group of 4 people doing the kind of the same trip that I'm doing. So most of us are bunking in this shelter together. This will be my first time ever staying in an AT shelter, which is kind of cool. Look what we got here. Got my little privacy screen here, because COVID, and just cause. So just left camp from Mount Collins shelter. It wasn't a bad experience staying in the shelter for the first time ever. Got a few drafts in, because I had a quilt, not a sleeping bag. Wasn't too disturbing though, with like, you know, another group of people there either. They were all nice. We had breakfast this morning, kind of just talked, got to know each other a little, so that was a really cool experience. But now it's like 8 a.m. and I'm headed out back to the car. It was a long night, 12 hours of darkness, so I wasn't really tired toward the end of the night, but it was like pitch black and I didn't feel like getting up, so I just waited till the sun came up. I do know why they call the AT the Green Tunnel. Never know what's around the corner. It's been a very pleasant hike today. Heading back to the car. I'm sure that's got something to do with it, knowing I'm gonna be able to take this pack off. But I've met a couple nice solo hikers along the way. It's just nice to kind of get to know someone within like 5 minutes, just a little bit, kind of see what their experience is like, what they're doing. But this walk back has been nice. Beautiful ridge along these mountains here. Not many people out here either. I did call a ranger prior to my trip out here, and they said, oh, it's gonna be super crowded. It's spring break. You have tons of northbound thru hikers. But I've only run into about a handful of northbound thru hikers and probably passed maybe 20 people total, which is not a lot for being out here in the most popular national park on the most popular long distance trail for a couple of days. So it's been nice. I've had a little bit of company, you know, to talk to people along the way, but I've had a lot of time to myself just to kind of get away from all the busyness of life and work and stress. It's just good for the brain to let it relax in nature. So about a mile away, maybe even less, to the car. So I made it back. Here's the road, and my cars are right over there. Feels good to have accomplished my first solo hike overnight by myself. Time to get some food and water. Just left Newfound Gap and brought along a few friends who are thru hiking. So just gave them a lift here to the post office. If you guys want to say your names.
Hey, I'm Robert. My trail name's Pinky. We're 2021 AT thru hikers.
What's up? My name's Alexi, trail name Decaf.
I'm Caleb, trail name Sundried.
Howdy, I'm Jack. My trail name is Babushka, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much.
All right, see you guys. So I dropped off the AT thru hikers, and I'm at Greenbrier Campground, just outside of Gatlinburg. I'm gonna stay here for the night before I head to Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky tomorrow. Just set up my tent, went to the bathhouse. So glad they had a bathhouse. I definitely needed a shower. After that long hike yesterday, I was stinky and sweaty, and then having to hike out today, I was even stinkier and sweatier. So it just felt really good to rinse off and feel clean again. Right now I'm waiting for my new Sea to Summit sleeping pad to self-inflate. It gets like 4 inches thick, so it'll be some glamping I'm doing on these camping trips here. On the next few nights I'll be at a few different campsites, so I figured I roughed it in the back country, so now I can enjoy a little more comfort in the front country, since I'll be having my car accessible and some food accessible as well. But I'm about to go explore. I have a riverfront campsite here, so actually I'll take you along with me. Got my tote here full of my gear. Got my Arctic cooler. Sophia, my girlfriend, got me this Arctic cooler for Christmas. I'm super excited to see how well it holds the ice in for over the next few days. It's got these nice tabs. It's like half the price of a Yeti, maybe even less. So I got some hot dogs and some Gatorade and chocolate milk, some Pringles. It's got this nice little like basket here for food on the top, and then this divider in the middle if you want to split up food, and then it's also a cutting board, which is great. Another cool feature is it has a valve on either side. That way, if you are using the divider, you can just leak out the water on one side. It's got these nice handles on either side, rope, flexible, really nice roto-molded cooler. Basically the same thing as the Yeti, it's just not the name brand. However, I do like the logo, and I think their branding is really cool. Anyways, so this is my campsite. It's a little close quarters with some other campers, but oh well. But right down here, we've got this beautiful river. Not sure actually what river this is, but I'm gonna enjoy falling asleep to it tonight, that's for sure. My Sea to Summit mat is all inflated. Nice 4 inches of thickness. Partial air, partial foam, so super comfortable. Also turned my Kamek Firebelly underquilt, which is actually for my hammock, into just a regular quilt by using these clasps on the other side here. So it closes it up, creates a little foot box down there. It'll keep me warm. It's a 30-degree quilt. So as I sit here at my campsite along Little Pigeon River, I found out what it was named. Just wanted to reflect on my experience solo hiking for the first time. It was really remarkable. It just shows you what you're capable of even when no one's motivating you. Just the mental capacity and tenacity to keep pushing and keep going. Because sometimes you're out there and you're like, why the heck am I doing this? And then you get to a spot on the trail or a certain view or afterward and you just realize, like I said in my Yosemite video, it's character building. You learn a lot about yourself. You grow mentally, physically, and spiritually. You connect with nature, you connect with God. I'm glad I did this. I think I needed to do something like this on my own, something challenging without, you know, immediate gratification or the knowledge that there's going to be someone there next to me if something does happen. So it helped me to overcome any fears or doubts that I may have, because I was pretty anxious going into this trip alone. I don't let on normally if I'm kind of scared of something, but I'm glad I did it. I definitely think I needed to do this for myself. I just feel like I've learned a lot about myself in just one weekend alone. And this is just part one in the Smoky Mountains. I'm headed to Mammoth Cave National Park and New River Gorge National Park next. But at least so far, from what I've learned of part 1 of 3 of this trip, is that people always say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. To me, it's both, because you can't have the journey if you're not, you know, seeking that destination, or even just an accomplishment, maybe not a certain destination. Like I got to Clingman's Dome, that was my destination, and there was no view because it was so foggy. But just the accomplishment was fulfilling enough. And the journey would not have happened without that goal, seeking that accomplishment or seeking that destination. And vice versa. Without the journey, you're never gonna get to the destination. So they coincide, they go hand in hand. But most importantly, I think too, what I've realized, I definitely have enjoyed being solo, but it's not as much about the journey and destination as it is about the people who you're with, the company you surround yourself with. You get to know whoever's with you a lot more personally and on a deeper level. You go through challenges together and you go through some of the good times together. So I think my takeaway from going to the Great Smoky Mountains was, 1, you can do more than you think if you can just push through and find ways to motivate yourself. Don't sell yourself short. 2, it's about the journey and the destination. They coincide. And 3, most importantly, surround yourself with good people. I think it's Into the Wild. It says happiness isn't realized until shared. So it's good to do stuff independently, kind of learn about yourself, but in the grand scheme of life, I think connecting with the people you love and nature and God are the most valuable things you can take away from life. I've been alone on this trip, like I've mentioned several times, but I haven't felt alone that much. There's been certain stretches, but the amount of very nice and genuine people I've encountered is just incredibly amazing to me. Out on the trail, everyone was nice, just talking, asking how I was doing, where I was going, and I was asking them the same thing. And here at the campsite, I haven't talked to anyone, and I was coming down here to read, and there's a family next to me, and the mom was saying, hey, would you like a sausage or burger? And that was just super thoughtful. I don't know if it's because I'm alone or she would have done it for anyone, but we aren't allowed to have fires tonight because of how windy it is. So I had bought some hot dogs and put them in my cooler, and I was gonna grill them on the fire tonight, but I couldn't. They have a little grill that they brought, so they offered that to me. I had actually just got a sub though from a store across the road. I was looking forward to cooking out here. Maybe at one of the next national parks I'll be able to have a fire, but since it's so windy they don't want any embers flying into the forest and starting a fire. No one wants to be the guy that set the Great Smoky Mountains on fire. So anyways, I just thought I'd say how grateful I am for all the people I've encountered that have just spread some generosity and reached out. So I thought that was really cool.